of you guys might remember in my last video, which was like a month ago at this point, I think longer, closer to 2 months maybe. Anyways, I digress. I talked about the RGB light that Falcon Eyes sent me. This one. Yeah, this one. I asked you guys if you wanted to see a review about it, and I actually got more response than I was expecting. A bunch of you guys were sending me messages on Instagram over the past few weeks asking me where the video was. You wanted to see something with this, so here we are. Now, I've had this light for a reasonable amount of time now, and I've got to use it a bunch, put it through a lot of different testing, and it's actually been used in the background of a handful of my previous videos, and you guys probably didn't even realize it. It was used as like ambient lighting to sort of fill a room with a little touch of color, just add a little bit more to the scene. And I think it's pretty obvious that this light is super, super versatile. I mean, it's RGB, so you literally have access to the full spectrum of the red, green, and blue color channels. So you can essentially mix and create like literally any color. You can make any shade of blue or teal or orange, magenta, red. You can do whatever you want with it. But the great thing is that it also is just a standard light panel as well. So you will get, you know, normal output from like 2700 Kelvin, get that really warm colored tungsten type light. And then you can go way up to like 9,000 Kelvin, which is actually really cool, like very like blue light. But daylight, of course, like right in the middle at 5600 Kelvin. It's a very accurate light with a CRI of 95, so it outputs very clean, very usable color along with the functionality of full-on RGB. This bad boy comes with a full-on hard case, which is really nice to see because not a lot of lights these days tend to come with good cases. Sometimes they come with soft cases or even not a case at all, so a hard case is much appreciated. Of course, you get the softbox and grid setup, so you can slap that on there and get that really soft diffused light if you want to. I'm in fact using sort of like the older, bigger brother version of this light. It's the non-RGB version, just a little bit bigger. I use this light and I've been using it for a long time now to light pretty much all of my videos. It's positioned just right here with the softbox and the grid, so I could very easily just swap out these two lights and get probably a very similar result. Now, it wouldn't be quite as soft, being that the light itself is just a little bit smaller than this one, and the larger light source you have, the softer it's going to be. But it's only a little bit smaller, so it would still give us a very good result, just like we have right now. So the panel itself, I mean, if you guys haven't seen these flexible panels before, they're extremely light and thin and minimal. I mean, you can pack this up into a pretty small backpack, to be honest. So it has this little X bracket, which just pops out, and it's super easy to assemble and break down and then put back up. But the panel is, of course, flexible. I mean, we can do whatever you want with it. If you wanted to tape it onto a wall, because you couldn't get a light stand into a room, it's light enough that you could just gaff tape it literally onto a wall. If you needed to like kind of fold it up in a weird tight space into like a closet or like the roof of a car or something like that. I mean, that's what's great about these flexible panels, is you can put them virtually anywhere. The panel is very thin and light, but the controller that it connects to, this guy, isn't exactly the smallest or lightest thing. It's a pretty chunky piece of aluminum. It's really well built, which I love to see. But then along with that, you have the AC power adapter. Oops. So the total package combined isn't exactly something I would take like anywhere. Like, I wouldn't just have this with me in my backpack, but it's small enough and light enough that if you needed to take it out in a travel sort of run and gun scenario, it wouldn't take up the most amount of space. Now, along with AC power, the controller can also utilize V-mount batteries, which is really nice to see. Operating the controller is really simple. You've got a power switch here on the side, the dimmer here on the other side, and then individual controls for red, green, and blue. And then if you turn all those off, you have separate controls for the standard output of the light for color temperature, and then the dimmer for that specifically. And then you also have DMX control ability, which I think most of us don't use DMX, but if you were putting this in a professional lighting setup and you had a DMX controller, you're set and ready to rock with that. You also can get a wireless remote for this, which connects right into here. This is the antenna port. I don't have that wireless remote, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory what that does. I mean, overall, this whole package is like super solid. Now, Falcon Eyes is a Chinese company, and a lot of people might sort of question their build quality, but I mean, honestly, this stuff has held up insanely well. I mean, I put it through a lot of different shooting scenarios. I use it for, well, all of my YouTube videos. Outside of that, I've been using their stuff for my client work. I mean, it really has held up very, very well. Now, like, I get it. The whole RGB thing is kind of like, okay, cool, but like, it's definitely a niche product. Like, not everybody is going to need to go out and purchase an RGB light if you want to start making good videos. There are ways around getting color into your videos without having an RGB light. In fact, the way a lot of people have been doing it previous to these new RGB lights coming out was just using gels, which are basically just colored translucent pieces of material that you can throw over a light, and then that will essentially add color into that scene. But I will say it's pretty undeniable the presence RGB has seemed to sort of make in the YouTube creative community and in the gaming community. It's pretty much everywhere. Everybody wants it. Everybody wants RGB strips on their desk. In fact, I have an RGB strip on the back of my desk that actually just broke, and I ordered a new one because I wanted the RGB. Like, it's niche, but it's like, a lot of people like it, and it's definitely really fun to play with. It's a really unique creative aspect that you can toss into your filmmaking to just kind of try new things, experiment. That's kind of what I really like about it, is I've been able to just sort of like play around and rejuvenate my interest for experimenting with filmmaking. It's a really fun process. At $700, you are definitely paying the premium for the RGB feature. I mean, Falcon Eyes makes the same size panel without the whole RGB function for I think around $300-ish, which may still seem a little expensive for a light, but you gotta keep in mind the amount of output these things kick out, which if I didn't mention, this one's 100 watts. That's a lot of light, but also just the fact that they're so flexible, they're so universal with what you can do with them. I definitely can't say that I think everybody should run out and go buy one, but if you're in the market for an RGB type light, but you also want it to be able to do, you know, standard light, you know, daylight, tungsten, whatever, this is a crazy good package. There's not really too much more to say about it. I mean, it is what it is. It's an RGB light, but it certainly has a lot going for it. So if you guys are interested, definitely click the link down in the description to go check it out. Those are affiliate links, so if you click on those and you buy stuff through those, I get a commission, and it helps me and it helps support the channel, helps me make more videos. I took a little time sort of here at the beginning of 2019 to kind of reflect and look at what has happened in 2018 and really sort of try and gauge and feel like, you know, what's the next steps, what's gonna happen with my YouTube channel, what's gonna happen with my client, like my professional work. And I can't say I've definitively come to an answer yet, but it's certainly helped me develop a lot of perspective, and I've in a lot of ways sort of rejuvenated my passion for the whole creativity thing, starting to get a lot of new inspirations and ideas. So I'm really excited to start bringing more content to you guys. I know I say that a lot, but I really do mean it. So I hope you guys stick around. With that being said, I'm gonna end the video here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Slap a comment down below what you thought. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.